I am focused on scaling my audience and scaling the business and kind of deepening the impact that I have on the community. I created this program called the Coaching Experience, which is a live coaching event. And this is a program that I've curated. I've created co-creating it with another partner of mine because I believe that there's so many people who think they think about, okay, I may want to coach, but I'm not quite sure how to go find a coach. And then when they once they finally say yes, I want to coach, but where do I go find that coach that I want? And so I've created a live coaching experience where you will be able to actually do have mini coaching sessions in person with people and connect with them.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Wynn, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Pedro, and today I'm joined by Enna Jimenez, CEO of EJ Consulting Group and a powerhouse Latina whose 30 plus years spanning boardrooms and communities nationwide has shaped her unique approach to strategic growth and leadership transformation. What sets Enna apart is her deep commitment to helping organizations grow with purpose rather than just profit, combining her expertise in QA, transformation, and technology with people centered strategies that create measurable, lasting impact. Anna specializes in working with mid to large companies, delivering software products, mission driven organizations, and women leaders building their presence and influence in competitive environments. Her core belief that real growth happens when heart, strategy, and courage move together reflects her approach to helping executives and senior leaders navigate change with clarity, confidence, and intention, rather than just checking boxes or following generic frameworks. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Thank you, Pedro. It's such an honor to be here. I'm super excited for our conversation. And so thank you. Thank you for welcoming.
Well, that opener, thank you, Pedro. The Pedro is perfect, right? There's the Latina right there. Okay. And it's great to have you, and I always love to rewind a bit. As a comic book nerd, I love the origin stories, right? The first edition, because every coach has that moment where they look at their life and say, yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now, right? So when was that for you?
Um, I think that long time ago, I sort of realized that after working in male-dominated space, right, coming into technology and being in a space where I was leading teams and driving transformations, sort of operating in these spaces where I didn't always have someone that looked like me. I realized that if I was stepping into these spaces and as I was navigating how to even show up authentically, that there was probably going to be people coming up behind me, alongside me, that were also encountering the same challenges. And so I just did what I think we're born to do, which is share my story. And people will be like, well, Anna, how do you do this? Or I'm having this situation, I'm having that. And so I organically became someone that would just, through sharing what I was going through, or maybe how I handled different situations, started coaching and mentoring people. So it's just something organically that really happened. I grew up in a Latino household, born in Puerto Rico. My parents from Dominican Republic, lived in Boston for 40 plus years. The sense of community and giving back was instilled in me from a very young age. And so to me, it was just like, oh, okay, you need some guidance, you need some help, you need, let me tell you how I, maybe encounter something similar. And so that was just something that was natural to me. So it wasn't, it didn't feel weird when someone asked me, Anna, what do you think about this? Anna, what do you think about that? And so again, it's something that I just grew up with from a very young age. My parents were big community leaders here in the Boston Dominican community. And so I saw them emulate or do these things where they always had people come to the house and they were in community and sharing and just helping each other out. And so again, all of that was instilled in me from a very young age, and it's just easy for me to kind of do it and give back to others as we all navigated the complexities that come with being in corporate America as a Black Latina woman. Certainly was not easy.
Okay. There's a word that I think it kind of, uh, you know, makes it at the end of the day makes a lot of sense. I really like it, which is the organic bit, you know. Sorry. It's like it was never like as planned, right? It's not like one day you came up with a magical idea. Oh, I'm gonna be a coach. I'm gonna help people like this. It was a natural progression, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense, and I think that's a very powerful reminder. I think a lot of coaches out there, they can resonate with that. It's just something that happens, right? Because it's at the end of the day, it's who you are, right? So what I want to understand now, and I always ask this on the show, is like when the shift happened from I'm helping people, the first person who reaches out to you and you're like giving advice and you start coaching, even when you're not realizing, right? To I'm building a real business around this. When did that happen?
I believe that as the years progress, I've been coaching now for 10, 15 years, sort of, just as random. People will reach out to me, people would schedule coffee chats with me. And so for the past 10, 15 years, it's something that I've done. Um, and I never necessarily saw it as a business, but I simply saw it as I'm giving back, I'm helping. That's simply all it was. But about 3 years ago, I kind of said, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. It's probably time for me to kind of realize or acknowledge or tell the world that it's a business, that I'm really doing this for real. And so 3 years ago in 2024, I launched my business, EJ Consulting Group, where I kind of formalized my speaking, best-selling author, and my coaching business. So yeah, so it was about 3 years ago when I kind of said I need to really formalize this into an actual business.
Let's make it official, right? So 3 years ago, that's interesting. Let me ask you first one thing, right? Because I see a lot of coaches out there and they're let's say it is easy to pick up on the coaching hat, right? Which is one thing. It's like, hey, you've been coaching for people for several years. You told me that yourself, right? But when there's a transition from being a business owner, because there's another hat that is being added, right? Which is the CEO hat, and that entails in several things. Sometimes it's like marketing, and we're talking about sales, and we're talking about several hats, right? So how did that play out for you? I mean, the business development side, did you felt like a difference when you went from just coaching on the side to, hey, this is a real business now?
For sure, for sure. Because now you have to be like, okay, wait, I actually need to have a funnel. I need to have a process. I need to have follow-up emails. Like I need to have when people want to schedule a meeting with me, it's like you have to have the calendar set up. Like, you know, are you doing 30-minute meetings? Are you doing is that initial screening and then the sessions that you do, are they 45 minutes? Are they an hour? Are they an hour and a half? I mean, there's all these things you had to think about and create this entire process. And it wasn't easy because when it wasn't a business, I just did it. Right? It's like, oh, you want to meet up for coffee? Absolutely, let's just meet up. Let's
Hmm.
whatever. You know what I mean? But when it's a business, you have to like, okay, wait. I'm meeting with X number of people this week. I can, I'm traveling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I have, so many other clients that I'm working on from the consulting business. And so like how do I fit it all in, between work meetings that you have and now you gotta like plan because you have to be there for your clients, right? Not that I wasn't before, but when it's a business, it's your mind shifts into am I giving these clients what they need because now they're clients, right? Versus prior to the business, it was just like, oh, well, I'm just meeting with a friend and I'm going to help that friend out. Does that make sense?
It makes a
So
lot of sense.
your mind changes with how you view things.
It's almost like an identity shift,
Yes,
right? It's like, yeah, it's like the stakes are different now. I got to make sure everything is on track, on the way.
for sure.
Now, after you got rolling, right? Who are the people that kept showing up? You know, the ones you realize from 3 years ago now, this is my tribe. This is the people I can serve best. Because
Hmm.
in the early days of coaching, and you know that because you didn't start right off the bat as a business, uh, sometimes coaches are trying to help everyone, right? And so they gave you a call like, hey, let me try to help you. But eventually, I'm not sure if that's the place you're at right now. But eventually they niche down or not, even not, it really depends, each to their own. But did you realize, okay, I can help these people the best? So who are they, if so?
Absolutely, Pedro. You got your sweet spot. You got I mean, you can talk to everybody, but they're the folks that you're like, this is my group. And I really work with high performing professionals, um, especially women. I have to admit, there's a sweet spot for me for women, um, who are really successful, but they don't know, um, that they're meant for more. These are women who are like, they're just going through it, they're in the thick of things. A lot of my clients are in transition points. Maybe they want to step into leadership. They want to maybe pivot careers, build their personal brand. I do a lot around personal brand. Or they want to launch a business or just look, we're in a place where it's like we have to stop shrinking, right? We have to stop thinking that we're less than. And so these are the women or the folks that I work with. And I help them kind of go through or gain clarity, confidence, get visibility, and alignment, right? So those are sort of the core areas where I help my clients. And really, at the end of the day, I help them own their own voice and position themselves intentionally so opportunities can start aligning to themselves. I'm all about showing up authentically who you are so that you don't have to do all this code switching, so that you can be who you are everywhere you're at. And you don't have to think about, well, how am I going to show up over here if it's over here, if it's over there? Just show up authentically as yourself, no matter where you're at, and be accepted for who you are. So I help my clients kind of navigate through that.
It's exhausting to have to constantly have to, switch masks, right? Oh, I'm corporate X, Y, and Z. Now at home, I'm a different person. And then in a family gathering, I'm a different person. And at this spot, I mean, that's exhausting just by thinking about it. So I love the work you're doing now. I want to do a quick exercise with you. Okay. Quick
Yeah,
game if you're down for it.
of
So
course.
let's pretend I have a long distant cousin, and she's called Pedro. Okay, that's Pedro, and
Okay.
she's your ICP. Okay, she's your
Mm,
ideal client profile. She's a high performing professional women, right? That's a,
mhm.
and basically, my first question for you is how do Pedro would be able to find you in the first place, like marketing wise?
Mhm. So I have my website. So that's the first place. So, and let me back up. Actually, a lot of people find me through relationships, community visibility. Right, when I'm doing a speaking engagement, they'll reach out to me through there. But I'm always sharing my page. So ennajimenez.com is where you can go find me and learn all about what I've done, my speaking engagements. You can learn about my consulting business there. Also, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been an incredibly powerful place for me to share my voice, to share, kind of like my storytelling. So
Mhm.
you can go to LinkedIn and just see what I've done throughout the years, where I've spoken, what stages I've been on, but as well just what things I'm doing. A lot of my awards are listed on LinkedIn, the clients or the organizations that I'm connected with, because that allows you to see me as the humanistic person. right? As a person who is very much connected to the community. And that will let my clients know who I am as a person so that when they come talk to me, they know that I've been there, right? They can see my trajectory. They can see where I've been throughout the years. And so that's how people can find me and connect with me.
Okay, so Pedra, my long distance cousin, she went through your website, through your LinkedIn, or even was referred to from a friend to talk with you. Eventually, you guys
Hmm.
went through the sales process. I'm not sure how that play out. We don't necessarily need to get into the detail, but let's pretend there's
Hmm.
alignment, okay? And Pedra is gonna be onboarded. Okay, so walk me through, and you can pick, if you have several offers, you can pick the main one. Okay. But walk me through the point of view of Pedro being onboarded. How does it look like to work with EJ Consulting Group? And on top of that, the potential outcomes she can expect out of.
Absolutely. So usually I offer my clients several ways of working with me. You can sort of do a 3 month partnership, or you can do a 6 month partnership with me. They tend to either be whether we meet bi-weekly. Some clients want to meet on a weekly basis. So we'll sort of figure out what's the right length depending on what is it that they want to work on. The first session is usually an introductory session. We kind of get to know who each other. What are you working on? What are your goals? Kind of think through what are the things you want to accomplish during the time that you're with me. So we would establish that during the first session, and then the subsequent sessions would be where we actually get to the work. Right. That's when we kind of dive into it. But the offers are around usually there's two main ones that I do. Like I said, it's either based on time, 3 month or 6 month. And once we lock into that, then we just create the goals for where you want to be at the end of that. And then we just go working at that.
Mm. Okay. So here comes the first curveball. Okay. Devil's advocate. Let's play like that. Because by listening to you, it sounds like a customized experience, right?
Yes.
You have a very you're peeling off the onion. You want to understand the true intention behind it, so you can come up with a plan and execute it, so you can actually deliver, which makes completely and perfect sense. Now, my question to you is, because there's a lot of coaches out there and they advocate against burnout, and sometimes they're burning out themselves
Mm,
because it's a passion driven profession. I would put it like that, on top of
yes.
it.
Agree.
And also, they're
Hmm.
wearing too many hats, right? So, how do you think about capacity so you don't stretch yourself too thin, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely believe in knowing how many clients I can have at any given time. I also know that as I'm working with the clients, I'm establishing, sort of, I'm sort of thinking, well, what's my workload like? How am I going to balance everything out? This is where sometimes I'll offer the clients, you know what? Why don't we do every other week? Because I know that, maybe it works better for my schedule and my calendar. Sometimes I have clients that we meet every 3 weeks because that also works better for them, right? So really creating, um, understanding what my bandwidth is, but also working with my clients to really figure out how quickly do you want to work through things versus, what is the long-term goal and how do we space that out? Um, just, I understand how much time and effort I'm able to put into things on a weekly basis, depending on everything else I've got going on outside of coaching. Coaching isn't the only thing I do, right? So I've got time blocked off that I know I can carve out these amount of hours on a weekly basis to take clients.
Okay. Interesting. It's like it sounds like there's intention behind it, and you have to set up some boundaries so you can show up in your best version too, right?
Absolutely. That's really important. I do think that it is healthy not just for the clients that you're working with, but for yourself as well, right? I can't show up to a client to do a coaching session if I'm not doing well, right? If I haven't had a good night's sleep, if I've got it tired, because listen, I've got my own coaches, right? I mean, we all need our own coaches and our mentors, and so, um, sometimes I have to reschedule a client, and that's okay. And explain to them why I'm doing that. It's like, you know what, I've had these issues or these conflicts, and I'm gonna need to push you out because I want to show up for you the way you expect me to show up for you, right? Um, so I'm very intentional about who I take in, about who I work with. There have been folks that have come to me. I'm like, I am not the right person for you, but let me introduce you to someone else that is the right person for you. And I believe that I'm doing them a service when I do that than to let them stay with me when I know I'm not the right match.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, now let me ask you another thing, which is
Mhm.
I consider like a hot topic for coaches, and I feel like I need to dive in and highlight a little bit about your background and experience because you mentioned you start giving advice and that naturally progressed where you are right now with the business, right? So, one thing every coach wrestles with at some point is pricing, okay? And we don't have to talk about hard numbers. It's more about the mindset behind it, and how to package their own work. So, it's a very self-worth path, right? It's like, am I charging too much? Am I not charging enough? So how do you think about it today? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you landed where you are right now?
Yes, yes, yes. Many,
Yes.
many lessons. I mean, I went from never charging anyone anything, right? And I did that for many, many years. So then having to start charging someone for my time. And yes, you go through that whole, it's like, oh, wait, can I charge that? And then there's people that tell me, Anna, your value, your worth, everything that you bring when you show up to a session, you're worth this, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm over there. And like, yes, you are. So it took fighting my own self for believing in my own worth, right? Now, mind you, that only happens when I'm in this coaching sessions. When I'm asking someone, someone's invited me to be a speaker, I got my set fee. Those fees, and I'm like, well, if I got my set fees and I feel very strong about it from a speaking engagement, if someone has
Mm,
access to me one on one, why am I undervaluing myself, right? Because well, now you got direct access to me for a period of time. So yes, I went through that evolution until I landed to where I felt I needed to be, where it really matches my heart, and it makes me feel like I am giving to the community because I also know who I'm servicing.
mm,
Could I be that person that, is in you think of the Tony Robbins of the world, the Lisa Nichols of the world, right? Could
mhm.
I be there? Yes, yes, I know I can. But the audience that I'm serving, is it that audience? And am I doing the right justice to the audience that I want to serve? Right? Because I know who I'm looking for. I'm looking for that professional that is in, mid to senior level in their career or just starting into their executive leadership roles. And they're probably just transitioning. They're probably in the trenches. They're probably trying to figure out what they want to do and how they're going to navigate their own careers. And so they're going to be at different levels as well. So I wanted to make sure that I was at a place where I was going to be able to continue to serve my community and not necessarily price myself out. Does that make sense?
It makes
Um,
sense. I'm thinking right now about the mission, right? When we started a podcast and you're like, it it lacked people that look like me in this type of position, right? You mentioned that. And I'm
yeah.
thinking because I've talked with a lot of coaches out there and sometimes I see the struggle like they really really want to help people and they're trying even through pro bono, but
Uh-huh.
people are like not showing up. People are not committed. They have no skin in the game because they perceive some time as worthless because it's free. So it's a hard balance, right? To have that on the equation that oh my God, this is mission driven. I can sense in you, right? There's passion to it. But at the same time, it cannot be free. Or it will be if it's free, you're gonna have a hard time around the commitment side of it. I'm not sure if you're right there with me, but it sounds like
Oh, yeah.
and I sense this from a lot of coaches, right? It's how to find that balance. So how did you find it?
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Pedro. I mean, you really, really are, and it's a struggle. I'm not the only coach, as you mentioned, right? We all go through this. I think at the end of the day, I still stay true to myself. For me, that initial meeting, it's really critical for me to know, is this someone that I'm going to invest my time in, right? Because it is an investment. It is an investment from them because obviously they're investing in spending time with me, but it's also an investment on myself. So I consider it a two-way street. We need to collectively agree that we want to work with each other, right? And so when I say yes, I offer you, my time and I want to take you in, is because I genuinely know that we can gel and we can work with each other and that I want to see you grow and succeed. And so I'm invested. That is already an investment. So I don't know. I just you make it happen, right?
Mhm.
But because of all of that and look, a lot of it has been word of mouth. People will be like, "Oh my God, Anna, I told someone about you because thank you so much for everything you did for me, and I need more people to know about you." So it's been word of mouth because I've been able to help so many folks, and they go out and tell other people, "You got to work with Anna." Um, so
Mhm.
that just makes it a lot because it's not just me telling them this is what I can do for you. They're also hearing it from others as well.
Such a credibility industry we're at, right? The coaching. I mean, there are certifications out there, PCC, ICF, you name it. But it's like at the end of the day, it's an unregulated market.
Hmm.
And it sounds like, and I might be off here, it tends to be credibility, right? So if you create that, which you were able to, I mean, you're gonna have some leads based on referrals alone that will come up to you and ask about your services, right?
Yes, no, Pedro, I firmly believe you can't do coaching if people don't believe in you.
Hmm.
Like the credibility is so, so real. So when I stand on the stage, when I'm doing a talk, when I am in a panel, right? I have to show up with all the years of experience that I have with my stories. So it's storytelling, right? And people will connect with you through your stories. I did a speaking engagement. I'm always speaking, but this one was really memorable. It was in New York at, a large, Fortune 200 company. I won't name the company,
Hmm.
but it was a large company. Well, after we were done with the panel, there was a line of people just waiting to talk to me. But this one woman came up to me and she said, "Thank you. You represent me." And she's like, there's a lot of people here who want to meet you, but I just wanted to give you a hug. And she was like, "Can I give you a hug?" I'm like, "Yes, absolutely." And she gave me the biggest hug and I hugged her back. But she was just like, "Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your expertise and sharing your journey." And because of that, whatever she got from that conversation, she later saw me at another event and was like, "I took what you said, showed up at work, and had these meetings with my bosses, and I was able to land that promotion that I was afraid that I was going to land." And that's just simply from her watching me at a panel.
Mm.
So when I tell you that credibility is so important, it's because that's what moves people. Someone isn't going to hear you and go off and do what you said that you did if they don't really connect with you or believe that. So that, I'm telling you, we can talk about credibility. It's so, so, so important.
Yeah, you know what? That is so true. Just by thinking right now, about the credibility bit. I mean, you can create a business just around that alone, right? Now, I want to shift gears for a second because I'm curious about where you're taking EJ Consulting Group, right? Looking ahead, where do you see the business going, Anna? Are you thinking about scaling, hiring, or is there a next step you're excited about?
Oh my God, absolutely. Look, I'm not just I'm not just focused on kind of scaling my audience. I really, or I should say, I am focused on scaling my audience and scaling the business and kind of deepening the impact that I have on the community. I've created this program called the Coaching Experience, which is a live coaching event. And this is a program that I've curated. I've created co-creating it with another partner of mine because I believe that there's so many people who think they think about, okay, I may want to coach, but I'm not quite sure how to go find a coach. And then once they finally say yes, I want to coach, well, where do I go find that coach that I want? And so I've created a live coaching experience where you will be able to actually do have mini coaching sessions in person with people and connect with them. And so that we held the first one as a pilot last month in April here in the Boston area. I've got another one coming up at the end of July here in Boston. And I'm super excited. And so these are the kind of events that I'm curating as through EJ Consulting Group to really tell and empower my audience to seek coaching. And let me say, Pedro, coaching comes in so many different ways. Oftentimes you think about coaching as just career leadership, executive
Mm-hmm.
coach, but you got coaches that focus on grief, and grief from all angles. Grief could be because you were laid off from a job. Grief could be because you missed someone, right? Someone passed in your life.
Right.
There's so many different forms of grief. There's also health, wellness, life coaches. And so, how do you find these coaches? Well, you've got the coaching experience, in person curated events where we're handpicking coaches to be part of this experience. And the goal is to do these not just in Boston, but to actually go around different cities and bring these events to different cities as well. So that's the scaling part. That's what's
Mm-hmm.
coming. That's the future of my coaching business.
Mm. I love that idea because, at the end of the day, I see a lot of people that have like this abstract idea of what coaching really is. And you're at with this, you're trying to expose them into a little bit more of what this really entails, right? Like, this is what a coaching session is all about from different angles, from different professionals. So I think that's a very valuable idea. Now, I'm curious about one thing too, okay? Because whenever we're aiming towards the next chapter, right, there's always something we're refining, right, in the present. So, what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business, like right now?
Ooh, I still believe that I am trying to figure out how to scale. Um, while still preserving sort of my intimacy, my authenticity. How do I do this at a large scale with still being me, still being Anna? I love connecting one on one, right? But I can't connect one on one with everybody, right? Because as the
Right.
business grow, there's only so many hours in the day. So how do I, curate? And that's why the coaching experience is one way, right? Where I'm able
Hmm.
to kind of do what I do at a larger scale. But so that's definitely how I'm trying to figure out how do I continue to scale and how do I operationalize my business in a way that I am bringing AI, because in this day and age, if you're not using AI to operationalize and automate the things that just take up a lot of your time, then it's just you should be doing, right. Everybody should be bringing AI into your space. So operationalizing, bringing AI, thinking about how do I expand so that I have a larger impact. I mean, look, I want to be global, right? I
Hmm.
want to be able to reach people in Latin America, in London. I mean, I should be able to touch hearts all over the world.
I love
And
that.
I can't always do that if I just want to have one-on-one conversations with everyone. So
Mm.
scaling, operationalizing are the things that I'm going to be working on.
Okay, that makes perfect sense with what we're discussing. Okay. Now, if someone listening, okay, wants to connect with you or follow your work, and by the way, we're going to have all the links in the description. I know you mentioned your website already, but
Mhm.
what's the best way for people to find you and connect with you?
Well, the easiest way, honestly, is just going to my website, ennajimenez.com. There is a contact me there. You can submit your information and I'll get an email and I'll be happy to connect with you. Or you can send an email to info at EJ Consulting. I'm sorry, to info at ennajimenez.com. And you can also reach me there or through LinkedIn. I try really, really hard to respond. I get lots of messages on LinkedIn, so it might take me a week or two to get back to you, but I do try really hard to respond to everybody. So LinkedIn is another way that you can connect and reach out.
And there were a few moments from this chat I would love to highlight. First of all, when we were talking about the origin story, and you're like, it lacked someone that looked like me. Wow, that was so powerful, right? I mean, that is a very powerful mission. It's not just a business. It sounds
Right,
like to me, and I felt that. It's like, how can I have more people that look like me in the right spot so they can, experience what I've been experiencing for the past 10, 20 years, right? So
right,
that's one thing, the origin story, very, very powerful. I would say also, when we were discussing about your business and you kind of gave a step back on the outcome, it's, hey, first of all, let's sit down and figure this out on the intro call, an introduction call, as you named it, chem call, discovery call, whatever. There are several names out there, right? and
yeah,
and then you're like, okay, let's figure out where we want to go, right? But we have to sit down and discuss this first. It makes
yeah,
perfect sense, right? And then you
yeah.
design a plan, and we can move from the 3 month engagements and to the 6 month engagements you mentioned. So there's that too. And I also would love the fact that you brought up something which is like the fork, the main crossroad I see a lot of coaches struggling with, which is scaling, right? It's not an easy one because there are trade-offs there. Because if you're moving yourself out of the coaching calls or the one-on-ones, because you only have 24 hours in a day, and you
Right.
you sleep most of the time, at least 6 to 7 hours, right?
At
So
least we try.
yeah, we try, right? Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there is a way, but there is a trade-off too. So I really like how you framed it on you're still figuring that out, how vulnerable and how open you were about that, but Anna, this is my long-winded way of saying that I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you being here, sharing so openly today, okay? It was great having you on.
Thank you. Thank you, Pedro. It's an honor and it's a pleasure for me to be on your channel and to share my story. Thank you for the opportunity.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.